So we're going to talk about the stock market and money in general. The stock market being a gambling casino that uses your job as their little toy. And the reason for that is that there is no actual value in the stock market. They don't care about the company. The company has no value at all, apart from the fact that they use it as their betting coin. And I say that because the valuation, the actual assets of the company, the corporation, and the amount of money that the corporation makes does not in any way or shape recognize what the stock market values it at. If the corporation is worth $1 billion, the stock market valuation is probably $100 billion. I really don't know. I do know that the valuation does not recognize any portion or part of reality other than the fact that what you do in the stock market can influence your job. The corporation can change the economy and society itself, because money does in the end matter. Unfortunately, the government officials like fantasy as well. They support themselves by taking our economy and playing with it, or more correctly, by creating assets that don't exist on an accounting sheet. They cover up their debts that they create, claiming that it's not so bad. Look at the variation between assets and debt, and then we're okay. But the fact of the matter is, these assets don't exist. And just for the sake of saying it, the Federal Reserve has an accounting sheet. It has been Table L5, and you have to look under current Z1 releases, I believe it is, for the year. There's a website on justtalking7.info, INFO, to that accounting sheet. And the reality of it is that they're claiming assets in the neighborhood of $30,000 per human face on the planet in American currency out there. You know, if Americans have to repay everyone who has $30,000 worth of dollars, they come and spend them here, what happens is that we are dispossessed as a nation. They come with the fake currency that our leaders have created, and they buy our property, and we get thrown out. And that's, of course, how all criminal organizations work. You have to launder the money to make it look like it's real, make it look like it wasn't stolen, by putting it somewhere else first. Then you can claim it. And of course, a big part of the money that they cover up and launder goes to the stock market. That's exactly where it goes to. And a lot of it goes to foreign nations to pay bills that, they're getting cheated too. And we're getting cheated. Your treasuries and your securities and your social securities and all of that has no basis in reality, because the leaders, in order to avoid paying the debt that was created by them and you as a nation, in other words, or more simply, the reality is that for the last 50 years, really, certainly 30, it's been, I'll pay later, but you never did. And then when the problems erupted that, your credit has been used up, something had to be done, and the only thing that you can do at that point is to either devalue the money so that you pay that way with reality, which wasn't done, or you start counterfeiting money and claiming credit that you don't earn and you don't deserve. So that's what America did. They have been creating assets as a means of counterfeiting because it's hidden inflation. It is inflation, The currency cannot be accumulated to that point from what it was 40 years ago without inflation. And that's because money is work and resources. Money is not a number, although it's given a number to measure it. It is not a number. Money, or the value of what can be had for services and resources, is what we do. In other words, as a nation, we are the money. And the resources of a nation are the money, because without resources we don't have anything to work with. And if we don't have anything to work with, we can't work or eat. So the resources matter, because they're the first step in creating anything. And then the people matter, because they are those who gather up the resources and turn them into something valuable. And of course then comes an education with that of some sort, which is, allows you to use the resources. Unfortunately, the education system in America today is fraud and tragedy, primarily, because it only looks at the things that get you into college, or college bound, or college whatever. What can you create with a computer? Well, you can create a lot of havoc, or you can create a lot of good. But regardless of that, it's not about life directly. In other words, the food we eat, the water we use, the heat we consume, and all that. That's about life. Well, there are a lot of things that aren't about life in a college world, and so the college creates a lot of people who have no significant value to life itself. They, games and fantasies and delusions and things like that are what they work with. And, if they're willing to be paid, that can be okay, sort of. But then they have to justify their expenses, and they want to create their, workplace, and they want to claim that they are great and they are God and so forth. And that means they have to do something special as a university, and so the university mutilates nature. It literally mutilates nature. It takes the one of the claims, if you go into the areas where the geneticists are working, and ask them, just exactly what are you trying to do? They'll tell you, or they used to tell you, that we want to cause the genetic disciplines, order and balance of nature to dissolve into chaos, because that way they think they're going to learn how nature puts itself together, and they can play God from that point. That is, of course, how they do it in engineering. How they come up with plans and specs and things because they crash a bridge, for instance, or they make something fail. And when it fails, then they know the limits of that particular piece and that particular design. And then they can say, well, we know that this will fail in that way. When you do it with nature, it is nature that fails, and nature isn't a small, simple thing that you can make one measurement on. But nonetheless, we're back to money, and money is, again, our labor and the resources of our world. Without resources, which are being discarded and destroyed at a tremendous rate. Just take a look at your own garbage piles, with all the garbage that goes out of your own house, and understand that the future is dead. There is no future for your children. It's gone, unless you change, of course, and change very dramatically. Because all the heat release is, of course, changing the world itself, the climate. And that certainly doesn't even include those people who are trying to ignite nuclear fire on this planet. Same fires on the sun, which your scientists say are million-mile long flames. They want to ignite that nuclear fire here. They claim it's just combining hydrogen into helium, but that is not it at all. And they have proven that is not it at all. And there is no helium being produced by the sun, which is the direct response of what they claim would be. You know, every 2 hydrogen atoms are pushed into a helium atom on the sun to create a BTU of heat. Well, then there has to be a lot of helium, and there's not. It's a rare element, and so forth and so on. Nonetheless, we're talking about money. Money, of course, is a tremendous tragedy in so many areas. Medicine is certainly one of them. Medicine claims that, you know, they have to have more money, they have to have more money, they have to have more money. They're getting not paid by somebody, so they have to have more money. The government has to pay for it. That's just how it is. The government has to pay for it. And of course, they create all kinds of methods for doing that. Government has to pay for it. Well, we are the government, of course, and that's a big portion of where all the fantasy money comes from on the counterfeiting, is to pay the medical establishment, because people want to be sure that the medical establishment, you know, cares for them. You know, they don't care what it costs for me. I don't care what it costs for them, but I want you to spend whatever it takes for me. Well, that doesn't work. And of course, the price is the price only because somebody is willing to pay. If you want to sell something and no one is willing to pay you for it at your price, then you can't sell it. And that's what determines the price. And the same is true of the hospital. If we do not pay them, they can no longer claim the charges they make. If we do not say, let the government pay them, then they cannot charge the prices they charge. And of course it's extortion, because people say, you know, I'm going to die or something. You have to pay. Well, criminal organizations have been doing that for forever, and the fact of the matter is that the medical establishment, primarily the corporations who own it, create a organized crime that's far greater than the criminal element is able to get away with. You know, the criminal element tells you, if you do not pay us what we want, we'll break your legs. So they say. Well, in general, that doesn't happen very often, because then the person who you broke a leg for or whatever, he can't pay you at all then. But of course, it's necessary to make the others fear you. And that's the same with the hospitals. You know, if we let you die, then the others will pay, because, you know, we let you die, or we broke your leg, or whatever it is. Doesn't matter. But nonetheless, as a society, we can say, you know, this is an inappropriate price. For instance, I understand a liver transplant, for instance, which should not be done. But nonetheless, is a liver transplant, I'm told, is somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million. Just the cost. Initial cost, the surgery, and the initial hospital stay. Doesn't include all the rest. But, you know, we're talking, let's talk 10 people at a maximum, and of course it doesn't take that many to do liver surgery, for instance, or heart surgery or whatever. Let's look at their hours. And their hours are, you know, in less than a day, they've collected $500,000 for their time. And of course the doctors will all say, well, I have, you know, hours and hours and hours and years of education in this. I have to have this money. Well, to some degree they do, because the colleges charge them a lot of money. And the same is true of the college. If we do not pay them their price, then we will simply, the price has to go down to what is, you know, reasonable and competitive. That's called capitalism. But of course capitalism doesn't exist in this nation anymore. And that's because let the government pay, let the government pay, let the government pay has taken over. And of course the government can pay as long as it can counterfeit. It doesn't matter as long as it can counterfeit. Until all those counterfeit dollars start coming back, and everybody wants to get paid. And so then the factories have to create a lot more resources, use a lot more resources to send that stuff out so that you get it paid, or they stop sending you resources, stop doing what you want. So the whole thing, the whole reality of money in America is a fantasy. That's unfortunate, and it's certainly unwise, but it doesn't even compare with the delusions that are trying to create a nuclear fire on the planet. Nuclear fire means atoms on fire. Our chemical fires, the type of, the fire that you have for a campfire or something, a forest fire, that is the burning of molecular bonds. Those are the things that make complex elements, take small, let's call it pure elements, and mix them together to form complex elements. That's what a molecule does. Molecules are very important. But nonetheless, the fires that we have here are molecular bonds. The discontinuing of the bond. In other words, the molecules held together can no longer hold themselves together, and it turns back to elements. The things like hydrogen or lead or something. Well, a nuclear fire burns the bond that holds an atom together. And an atom is held together in a bond because it has electrons that you know of, swarming around, a proton that you know of, and then there's a neutron which you don't understand, which is the balance point of an atom. You can't have something, we know its speeds, we know it has lots of energy, and you cannot contain that energy unless you have it in a balanced state. Otherwise, the energy that is in motion will just simply go away. It won't form an atom, it'll just simply go away. So the neutron is the balance point, or the reverse energy, or whatever you'd like to call it. Some call it dark energy. Anyway, we're back to the money part, and as long as people need something, they are willing to do whatever it takes to get that need. And that includes, working for way too little, or stealing in some cases, or making believe that they have earned something in some cases, and haven't. And the reality of our world is that we need to go back to reality. If we do not go back to reality, we cannot fix ourselves, and everything collapses into a big pile. So let's turn again to the stock market for a bit and understand that what happens with the stock market is that the rich man, there are a few rich men, or there are rich corporations that control $1 trillion in the stock market. So they can run the price up at any time they want to. It doesn't make any difference. They can run the price of any stock up any way and for as long as they want, and they can pull a stock down at any point in time that they do want. And that's the truth. You can't spend $1 trillion or a portion of that and not influence the stock market. You know that, and so do I. So then, the stock market is controlled by the rich. Simple as that. It's not. You have trust funds and things that are participating in it, but in the end it's controlled by the rich for their purposes and their procedures and in their ways. And they all get together. They don't have to have committee meetings or things like that anymore. They actually have it all worked out. They have computer programs. And when the computer program sees a particular fluctuation going up or down, then the rest, the program says, we'll sell to, or we will not sell to at a certain point. And that, of course, leaves the small investor out, always. Always. Just like at the GM bankruptcy or the Chrysler bankruptcy, or, Ford was in trouble. The small investor got screwed. As always happens with the stock market, the rich man takes his money and he leaves, and the poor man gets stolen from. That's just how it is. So every correction in the market is nothing more than the rich man says, we have gotten all the funds that the poor people can afford to give us for now, or we're willing to give us for now. So now it's time for a correction. So then they drop the price immediately in large scale areas, and then when it drops enough, the poor investor wants to get out, and then whenever it is that the rich man decides that, okay, we don't want to ruin the whole game, we want to control the game, we don't want to ruin it completely. So whenever it gets to the level that they feel that, okay, people have stopped selling us their stock now at a low reduced price so that we can collect their money and keep it for ourselves, then the price will begin to go back up. Yeah, that's the correction. The rich man wants money, so it's just a game. But it's a game to take your money. So the rich man makes the price go up because he's got trillions of dollars to invest. He has no boundaries in reality. He can make the stock market go up to whatever he wants. And then, whenever he wants, he can make the price go down to whatever he wants. And that's how he collects money from a small investor. So there is no such thing as a correction in the stock market. The stock market is about taking money from the poor to give to the rich. It is in fact a game. And like so many gambling games, people are believers, and when you're a believer, then you can believe anything. And truth doesn't matter. But truth is important, because you can be bankrupted by people who certainly don't care about you. And they're just out to take your money. And I know everybody wants free money, just like everybody wants, I'll pay you later, and never did. People want free money, but you can't have free money. Because money is actually the work and the resources of a nation, the work of people doing something for someone, and the resources that they need to do that work. So what the rich man collects is your time and your labor and the resources of a world. That is the money. And of course, when you lose your numbers, then you're forced to pay with your life and your labor and the world's resources for whatever the rich man wants. That's the money. I'm going to continue on just a bit because of fires and things, and suggest to you that there are videos at youtube.com/Jim Osterbur, Osterbur, that will help you in your fight with fires. And of course, there are a lot of things that need to be done with regard to that, but we'll just leave it at that portion or part of it to start with. And we're going to encounter the idea that first responders are not the great heroes that are, everybody wants to claim them as. Traitors and tragedies and fools claim everybody as a traitor or a hero. The reality is that if you do your job you asked for, you were hired for, you said you would do, that doesn't make you a hero. It makes you an employee, or a person who does the job that they said they would do. And that would, of course, make you honorable or true or honest or whatever you call it. Anyway, first responders do a very bad job, in actual fact. And we're just going to talk about fires for the moment. They chase everyone away that could help, so they can claim for themselves that, we will do it. And that's so that they can claim the job, claim the pensions, and claim the money, and claim the power, that they are the saviors of the world. Well, they're not, as is so obvious. We need to stop them. Is constant with all cults and all unions and all of that. There are a certain portion of people when they get a job that they feel they can control the others with. But we are the only ones, we are the experts, we are the ones that own this. Well, then they do. And of course, they don't risk their own lives generally, not to any degree, because, that would be bad. So they just let it burn. And of course, they can't stop it with just a tiny few people. They can't. And that means that everything burns. Well, proper first response is that everyone should know how to do everything that's involved with what it takes to stop a fire, for instance. That is the proper first response. Everyone can help. Everyone. Everyone that is healthy enough or able to do it. Don't go out if you're sick or something, then you're going to become more problem than benefit. But everyone that can must help. And you should understand that in absolute clarity, because the truth is that we do not have, as an earth, the resources to rebuild you. It doesn't matter if you think you have the money from insurance or, the government will pay. It doesn't matter anymore. Because the forests are basically gone. What's left is absolutely required to revive the world. If you don't protect the earth can't protect you. And there are so many things. For instance, our atmosphere, the atmosphere of our planet, turns in a balanced state with our planet. That's unlike any other planet surrounding the sun. They say the basic wind speeds on most planets are around 700 miles an hour. Well, the reason that the wind speed turns so much less on Earth is because of trees. Trees and their leaves. It takes a lot of weight, takes a lot of force to lift up a leaf. When you rake up your leaves in the fall, do they not gain weight for you? They can be heavy. And fluttering through the breeze, they slow the atmosphere down. Or more simply, you better start caring about the trees. You better start caring about your house, because it's not going to be replaced. Things in it are not going to be replaced. The resources to do that don't really exist anymore. And if you take them anyway, well, then the whole world dies. Your children are assassinated. And you are responsible for destroying the planet. Bear it in mind. Eternity does have does know you exist. You should think about it for a bit. I will offer one last little thing. The current stock market rise is dramatic, and actually I expected it to be so, because when Trump became president, all the rich people figured that they're going to get a big tax break. They do. They figure they're going to get a big tax break. So let the dollars and the numbers roll. Let them rise. Because once we get our big tax break, then they will fall. Because that's just what they want. Now, if the tax revisions that Trump has declared he's going to provide for the rich people fail, and they almost certainly will, but you never know. If they fail, the stock market is going to crash in the near future. And that's because, it's no longer realistic to have the numbers in there waiting for, this will cost us less. Now it's going to cost us more because the tax rate is the same. So, but I predict that things have been bad enough, long enough, that the stock market will not recover. Well, That's my prediction. You know, you can take it or leave it, but you can't keep your money in, risking it all, and expect to get any back if it fails. You know, the stock market crash of 1929 turned a lot of so-called rich men into poor men. And that's because the numbers faded away into reality. And reality said, no, you may not. And, you know, our reality is a very different thing than the lives that we live. You know, there are so many things. So many things. You can't have the highways that we have because people drive, and our world is overheating, and our world will turn into a hell. You know, too hot to keep us alive or anything else alive. Once the ice is gone, you can't make the world cold again. I mean, the food is threatened in enormous ways. They mutilate everything, and one of these days they'll turn to poison. The water is under attack. You know, there are chemicals that have been leaching, causing leachates to go down to the ground into the aquifers. There isn't anything basically done by the leadership of the last 40 or 50 years or whatever that hasn't been tragic in one form or another. Change must come. You know, that's not a gimmick, it's not a game. Change must come, or there is no future that we can survive or want to live in. You know, your weapons of mass destruction. Today we have Trump and what's his name, Kim Jong-un or whatever, claiming that, you know, we can blow each other up, or we can you know, kill millions. Is what they claim. We can kill millions. No, they can't, because one person controls a military, and that is enormously insane in today's world. We need to take control as a world with world law. We need to do that. And then we make laws that control our leaders. And we go after the leaders, not the nation. We go after the leaders that get out of line. Anyway, there's many things. But as far as the money goes, if you don't pay it, they can't get it. And of course, the reason that they get it primarily is because the humanity screams and rants and raves that, you know, the medicine, you've got to do it for me, you got to do it. Well, take a look at our world. We're 8 billion people rising at 1 billion a decade more. Another billion every decade more. Even more than that. And the world will die soon, because there's no possibility humanity can survive those numbers. Somebody has to die to give room for the rest. And of course, how that happens is going to be something that gets decided soon. Try thinking for a little bit. It might surprise you.